Smell, touch, hearing, sight, and taste. These are our direct connections to the world and to reality. Our five senses work, in a way, like sensors connecting our brain to the outside world. But our brain interprets them so beautifully that it feels as if we are directly linked to an objective, clear, and pure reality through these senses, doesn't it? We rely on them so much that we often say, "I won't believe it until I see it with my own eyes or hear it with my own ears." Well, that might be the greatest mistake of human beings. Our five senses actually cause us to establish a very distorted connection with the complex reality of the external world. The real reality is far beyond what our senses can perceive. However, we can use this distortion to our advantage. Just by thinking. Yes, just by thinking. We can become a violin virtuoso, build abdominal muscles while sitting in our chairs, perform seemingly impossible calculations in our minds, and bend reality itself. Does that sound a bit far-fetched? Stick around, because I'm about to tell you about some studies that will show you just how much reality can be bent. If you're ready, let's begin. Our brain, sitting in total darkness inside our skull, tries to understand what is happening by interpreting the flawed electrical signals coming from these senses. Then, neurons get to work, interpreting what's going on, and trying to figure out how we should react. Don't get me wrong, this system is one of the most optimized and efficient systems possible. After all, it did a great job by ensuring our ancestors weren't eaten by predators. However, we also know that it's very easy to deceive the human brain with simple optical illusions, hallucinations, or different states of consciousness. In other words, while our brain constructs a picture of the outside world, it resorts to countless patches, imagination, and fabricated information. And these fabrications create unimaginable changes in the human body. For example, it was once thought that the ultimate way to deceive the human brain would be virtual reality. Today, while games come to mind when we say virtual reality, we also see virtual reality applications in the medical world. There is a type of treatment called VRT, which stands for virtual reality therapy. Although this treatment is generally used for neurophysiological problems such as phobias and post-traumatic stress disorder, the scope of this application is much broader. For instance, researchers named Hunter Hoffman, David Patterson, and Sam Sharman from the University of Washington have been using this VR treatment since 1996 on patients with severe burn wounds. You can imagine the incredible pain these patients go through. Pain is a neurological response directly linked to psychology. In fact, the placebo effect is frequently used in burn treatments. It is crucial for the patient to believe that the treatment will work. Especially in burn patients, the incident that caused the burn constantly recurs in their minds as flashbacks, and the intensity of the pain increases proportionally. The idea of these researchers was this: if we can make the patients believe they are cold, their pain will decrease. To achieve this, they used a virtual reality game called Snow World. During the dressing changes, which is an extremely painful process, they had the patients wander through glaciers and play with penguins in the game, and truly, the patients reported feeling much less pain than usual. This wasn't just based on patient feedback, it was later proven through imaging techniques like fMRI. We can also see how the limits of the human brain can be pushed in mental activities, musicians, and athletes. For example, consider the technique of using a mental abacus for fast and accurate calculations. In 2012, Naomi Ogasawara became the world mental calculation champion using this technique. Additionally, people showcase these skills in a competition known as Flash Anzan. Here, 15 three-digit numbers are shown on the screen for a split second, and the contestants try to remember these 15 numbers and add them up as quickly as possible using the abacus in their minds. In this competition, some elite contestants can add 15 three-digit numbers in just 2 seconds. 2 seconds? Sounds incredible, doesn't it? While it seems impossible, it actually shows us how much the boundaries of the human brain can be stretched. Normally, of course, it's great for someone who plays an instrument to actually own that instrument, right? But it seems that having a mental copy of the instrument can create the same effect. Musicians have been aware of this long before scientific research confirmed it. For example, a case is mentioned in the 2007 book The Body Has a Mind of Its Own by Matthew and Sandra Blakesley. A violin virtuoso goes to prison for some reason, and during the 7 years he spends in prison, he practices every day in his mind without his violin. On the evening of the day he is released. When he is finally reunited with his real violin, he performs an even more magnificent violin recital than before he went to prison. Mental practice helped him maintain and even develop his fine motor skills. The strange thing is this: you might think it's easy for these people to do mental practice because they are already musicians. However, a study by Álvaro Pascual-León from Harvard Medical School reveals something very interesting. He identified a test group of people who had never played a musical instrument before. After showing them some finger movements on the piano and how to press the keys, he divided this group into two. One group practiced on a real piano for 2 hours a day for a week, while he asked the other group to practice only mentally. At the end of the study, brain imaging showed that the same regions of the brains of both the physical and mental practice groups had changed in the same way. It seems the brain doesn't really understand the difference. If you can simulate the movement strongly enough in your mind, your brain thinks you are actually playing. Finally, I want to talk about an even more striking example. This time, our topic is sports. In 2004, a group of researchers from the Cleveland Clinic Foundation decided to conduct a study. What they wanted to learn was whether mentally practicing a certain physical activity creates a change in that part of the body. In other words, can your arm muscles actually develop when you just think about working them out? Sounds ridiculous, right? Like, that can't be possible. Well, the researchers identified 3 groups. The first group moved one finger back and forth. The second group did nothing. The third group only imagined moving that finger back and forth. The experiment continued for 12 weeks. The result was truly fascinating. A 53% increase in finger strength was observed in the first group, who actually moved their fingers. No change occurred in the group that did nothing. In the group that regularly imagined moving their finger, there was an average strength increase of 35%. In other words, they had managed to convince their brains that the finger was moving, and the brain gave an appropriate physical response. And this isn't the only example. In 2007, a similar study was conducted in Canada. This time, the gluteal muscles were targeted. One group worked out their glutes by lifting weights, resulting in a 28.3% increase in strength. In the group that only thought about lifting weights and working their glutes, an average power increase of 23.7% was observed. Isn't it strange? When you train your brain correctly and create a perfect simulation of real physical activity in your mind, your brain perceives this as reality. Not only that, but it creates physical changes in your body accordingly. Exactly how this connection happens, how physical changes occur through these mental exercises, has not been fully solved yet. Neuroscientists are still investigating this. But in summary, this and countless other examples tell us one thing: we are not using our brains correctly. We can actually trick it. It's as if when the motor neurons in our brain receive enough electrical input from our mental exercises, they send signals and strengthen the muscles in our body. But as we said, the details are still not clear. Still, even if there isn't a single prescription for this, one of the most important takeaways we should get from here is this: you are much more than who you are right now. If you organize your world of thought and imagination correctly and direct your thoughts properly, you can witness incredible changes both in your own body and in your life. And as always, until we meet again, I'm glad you're here.